Elite athletes have some of the most aesthetic physiques on the entire planet. They can move fast, they're mobile, and they can exert large amounts of force in thousands of different positions. And we're gonna give you 7 of the best exercises that you can use to get that functional, athletic physique so that you can be more explosive, and we're gonna start right now. Let's begin by looking at a traditional compound movement that's gonna help with that size and strength, the deadlift. But not just any traditional deadlift. What we actually want to do is we want to figure out how can we increase that range of motion. If we're trying to build that athletic physique and lead to greater posterior chain strength and size, we can get creative. And that's where this next movement comes in, a snatch grip deadlift. And I'm going to provide a couple different variations. So notice just by going wider with my grip, I'm already increasing that range of motion. And I want to think about my chest coming up right off the floor. Boom. Boom. Now, one unique thing that you can do, I'm gonna tighten this up, that I really, really like, is that you can get on a podium or you can just put a plate here. And now we're gonna end up increasing our range of motion even further. And typically what we'll see when we're doing a normal traditional deadlift is that it is very posterior chain dominant. If we increase that range of motion and we're lengthening everything when we get down into this bottom position, we're actually trying to target the quads a little bit more, okay? So if we think about that chest coming up and a little bit of knee flexion when we come off the floor, now we're gonna get a little bit of quad activation, some big time freaking traps, and then we're also gonna develop that quad strength. So we're gonna get here. I like doing snatch grip deadlifts. Look, you can go like 4 sets of 3 to 5. Do 1 drop set. You're gonna get a little bit lightheaded like I am currently at this very moment. I like to use the podium for those drop sets so that you have that increased range of motion, which in turn leads to those monster ham hocks. But why train for an athletic physique anyway? To develop an athletic physique, we do need to also develop that athletic muscle. So how does this happen? So this happens when you are hypertrophic, right? If you have that great looking physique, you're gonna maintain more muscular hypertrophy. And typically what we think about bodybuilders, okay, rightfully so, and what ends up happening, especially if you have, a parent that walks in here and they have their kid training and they say, I want him to get more ripped, I want him to get more jacked, but I don't want him to be a bodybuilder. I don't want to move like a bodybuilder. They will think that bodybuilders can't move well. They will think that bodybuilders aren't explosive, and there is some credence to it. So we've got to think about developing muscular strength through being explosive. We can be doing things that improve our mobility through that full range of motion. We can also increase our elasticity by learning how to utilize a stretch shortening cycle and to move heavy weight fast. So typically what we're gonna see is 1, it's gonna focus on exercise selection, 2, full range of motion, 3, we're gonna try and target specific movement patterns, okay, that will lead to greater mechanical tension while moving through that entire strength curve. Being a better athlete is about expressing impulse at a high level. We want to apply a large amount of force in a short period of time. So to become an athlete that has that athletic physique and that is actually an improved athlete, what do we have to do? We have to train to become more athletic. Now, a hallmark of an athletic physique is being explosive. So what can we do to make sure that we're explosive? And that's where this next movement pattern comes into play. And when we talk about this, you really don't need the obstacles that we're gonna show you. You can actually do this with just your body weight out on a park or a sidewalk or in your driveway. And this is going to involve plyometrics. So one thing that I like to do is set up some type of plyometric series. And in this case, I might start where I'm just warming up and I might just jump over this first hurdle. So can I clear this first hurdle? Let's check it out. Boom. So I'll come back and I'll do that again. And I want to think about accelerating as quickly as possible, being explosive, learning how to use my arms in conjunction with my nervous system and my legs. So I'm here, boom. Now, what I really like is having targets that are different sizes. So now I've got to think a little bit like, okay, how am I going to be projecting myself forward? And how am I going to be setting myself up for the proper counter movement so that when I get to the last one, I can also clear that hurdle. So we're gonna get through a series here. I'm gonna go through one big one, two small, one big. Boom, 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 boom. So use plyometrics, I would say, once or twice a week. It's really fun. It's gonna help you with that athletic physique. But what else can we do to be more explosive? So if we're gonna look at building that athletic physique for the upper body, we've gotta use the exact same principles. We gotta focus on being elastic, going through typically a full range of motion, being explosive. That's gonna lead to greater strength. That's gonna lead to some great muscular development. So this next exercise is going to be on the incline bench. It's not, again, just any incline bench. This is going to be a close grip incline. And I'm gonna turn my hat to the sideways. Typically, my grip would be out here. So like 18 to 20 plus inches. Now I'm gonna move in and I'm gonna be about 12 to 14 inches, all right? So that's gonna greatly increase that range of motion, which is gonna lengthen the hell out of my tricep and my pecs. And what I wanna do is I can go through this full range of motion here, all right? Go nice and controlled, tap the chest, up fast. So I wanna use that for like 5 sets of 5, and then maybe I will do a drop set where every single rep will actually be through a slow eccentric. And just going through that slow eccentric, through that long range of motion, not only is this gonna help you with your incline bench, your traditional incline bench, it's also gonna transfer really well to the normal flat bench. And now I'm gonna give you one alternative that we can use if you're not gonna use that close grip incline. We're gonna do another pressing movement for that upper body. So another big aspect around that upper body being twitchy is that we've gotta learn how to move heavy weight fast. And on top of that, we've gotta understand the technical coordination around a stretch shortening cycle. See what I did there? So if we're gonna focus on bringing a bench press down, okay, we can actually learn how to bring it down with a little higher speed eccentric, and then we're gonna throw in a little bit of a twist, and that's where we're gonna go with this. We're gonna use a pad bench that's going to be timed. So let's say we have a designated weight, and typically, with our elite throwers, we might use 315 to 365 to 405, somewhere in there. And then as we're timing their sets, let's say over a long period of time, we're doing 3 reps or 5 reps, and we can see where their neural drive is and where their strength is based off of what they've done in the past and what they're doing in that exact moment. So in this case, to build that athletic physique, we can do, let's say, a triple as quickly as possible. It might look like this. This is not gonna be mind-blowingly fast. So I'm gonna get in position here. I should have a spotter, which I don't, and I'm gonna get set with the pad on my chest. That's gonna help me with that stretch shortening cycle. I'm gonna get through this position here. I'm gonna do a triple. So we can go as quickly as possible, and that's gonna lead to greater force development, which in turn will help that athletic physique and lead to better performance if you're out on the field. So a really good alternative to that pad bench is going to be a double bounce push-up, and you can do this clapping or you can do this to boxes as targets. I oftentimes really like to have our athletes use boxes because their intent is just a little bit greater. And so this would look like this, where I go down, okay, so I'm gonna get set, I go here, boom, 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 boom. But what about developing that athletic physique with an upper body exercise that involves pulling? Don't get it twisted. Having 2 huge biceps is too sweet. Too sweet! Now, one thing that I really like to do, especially if I'm a little bit further out from a season with specific athletes, is I like to use something called pre-fatigue. And what that might look like is I'll take a single joint exercise. Okay, so let's pretend here I'm taking bicep curls because I want to try and get bigger biceps. And I'm going to try and work through like sets of 17, okay? Let's lead into that bicep fatigue. Maybe I have an athlete like a wrestler who has a really weak underhook, or they suck at getting that little knee pick, something along those lines. Oh, let's go 2 more. Or maybe you have a football player who tends to fumble too much. Biceps and that big grip on an easy curl bar like that can be beneficial. So we'll use that pre-fatigue movement pattern with the single joint exercise. And then of course, we're gonna pair this with something that's almost like a weightlifting movement or a technical coordination movement for the upper body. We want an exercise that's gonna focus on that trunk control, and we want an exercise that's gonna force us to work through accelerative patterns or the entire pattern of acceleration, okay? So that's going to be a rope climb. I just got really anxious and really nervous because the last video that we did this on, I was a baby and didn't get to the top. So we're gonna do rope climbs here. Oh, that was so much better. So you can go through that, hit that bicep curl. You can rest for about a minute, get into that rope climb, move that as quickly as possible and accelerate through that. And that's gonna help with that more explosive upper body. Now, what else is gonna help us with being more explosive? I really like to use exercises that are gonna make you focus on speed on the concentric portion of the lift. So when it comes to that athletic physique, there are no exercises better than technical coordination movements. Think about a snatch, a clean, a jerk. These are all exercises that are gonna help you move at very, very high speeds. They're gonna transfer really well to sports, and they're also gonna make you freaking jacked, okay? You're gonna get really strong and in turn have a large amount of mechanical tension, which then leads to hypertrophy. But if you don't have access to weightlifting exercise or a weightlifting gym, what we can do is we can replace it with other movements that will suffice. And when we're talking about exercises that will suffice, what kind of GS video would it be without talking about this next movement? And that's going to be a single leg squat. But not any single leg squat. We're talking about a single leg squat that's gonna help you with acceleration. It's gonna build that nice, plumb, huge, juicy backside. And that's going to be a single leg squat with a forward lean. So what I wanna do is actually put the bar maybe a little bit lower. Yes, I said it, low bar, possibly a low bar. And that's gonna help us get into this lean and then come back up. So we wanna lengthen that glute at the bottom. Boom, okay? One more. And you can really, really freaking feel that glute getting longer, getting that lengthened position, feeling that stretch, and then in turn, coming into that hip extension. So this is a great exercise that you can use to develop that athletic physique. To move athletically and to get shredded, you have to also sprint. That's right, you've got to do something at higher speeds. Just like those technical coordination movements, we can be moving our own body as quickly as possible. And one of the coolest parts about sprinting is that you really don't even need a gym to shred those pounds off of you and to get that lean looking physique. This is something that we use even inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength. A lot of you guys out there don't have a training routine. You don't have a program that's guided to help you become a better athlete, to help you become stronger, to help you become that explosive freak. Inside of Peak Strength, we develop a program specifically for you and your goals based off of where you are in that yearly plan. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today and get 5 free workouts. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.